Rob Harless. Welcome, my friend. It's been a while since we've got to sit down and really talk about life. You are recently retired from a 30-year career as a Navy SEAL, inches away from the top spot, and decided to go retirement.
That's right, but it is good to see you. It has been way too long for us just to do this and catch up, but I'm happy to be here and talk through this today.
It's weird. We got microphones and cameras in front of us, not to bring attention to that, but definitely different from what our experience has been, because, we've had to lay in the shadows majority of our career. We can't really say anything about what's happening in the political spectrum. We just have to do our jobs and run the show kind of behind the scenes. So, I guess this is different for both of us, but I dig it. I wanted to start by just kind of telling you my side of how you and I met and the perspectives. So you were, probably 4 or 5 years ahead of me getting to the teams, coming into the teams, buds aside from things. When you actually get to a team, you are a rookie. The best way to describe it is just to call yourself a rookie in a professional sports unit team. And the rookie comes along with keeping your mouth shut, do as you're told, eyes and ears open, mouth closed. There's a lot of culture within the SEAL teams that move you towards that. And
That's right.
I came into the SEAL teams just, wide-eyed, ready to learn, ready to do. And the training cell at Team 3, which was my first team, was manned by all the experienced guys at Team 3. And so coming into that, there's already an intimidation factor kind of going on. There's always like, oh my gosh, I want to perform. I want to do good. And so you're kind of already nervous. But to get into the specifics, SEALs do a lot of different things. We jump, we dive for hours, we move, shoot, and communicate in the open terrain, whether it be desert, jungle, high altitude, mountain warfare, all that stuff. But the one thing that we do that's really the thing that gets very critical and where a lot of people make and break their careers is CQC.
That's right. Close
quarters combat, or also called CQB, close quarters battle. Bottom line, you're running in an enclosed structure with the gun, and you better know angles, distance, and dead space, and be able to almost communicate by the end of training in a telepathic way.
Yeah.
To where you can do this skill set non-verbally. You start using verbiage, but then eventually you're not allowed to talk. You turn the lights off, you put nods in front of your face, and things just get tougher and tougher.
That's right. And it's amazing because what a lot of people don't understand about that discipline of warfare is that you do get to a point where you've worked with your maneuver element enough to almost read each other's minds. You know what that person next to you, whoever it is thinking, what they're going to do, how they're going to react. That trust, that relationship that's built, and then those reps and sets take it to a different level.
That kind of goes into the telepathy. Like I can see someone juke a certain way. I know exactly what they're going to do.
That's right.
And I can counter off of that move. And so, like I said, when you're outdoors, urban environment, mountain environment, desert environment, one thing you kind of have out there is time. You hear gunfire, you hit the deck. You find some cover, you find some concealment. You wait for a call, and you got some distance from the enemy. CQC is unique in the sense that you're in a small room with people with guns. And so everything happens at such an expedited speed. And so that is where really you can separate the good operators from the mediocre ones from the bad ones. And you can do it really quickly because you can see plain as day, because we have instructors on the floor, we have instructors on the overhead rafters, looking down at everything, judging, critiquing, and usually it's a 1-for-1 instructor to student ratio. So you have one person watching every move, from the way you handle your weapon, exactly where you point that weapon. Did you engage? Did you not engage? Did you engage in the proper shot sequence? And so there's a lot going on.
And it's funny you bring that up, because thinking about you and several other people that came in as one group to SEAL Team 3 one time, I remember vividly, but in your first platoon, you had the opportunity to see people that were great SEALs that had risen to leadership positions, yet were not cutting the mustard, if you will, at that level of warfare. Yeah. And I think you remember some of that.
Yeah, level of control.
You saw it firsthand in your first workup. Yeah.
Our chief got fired because of CQC. Mm-hmm. So our most senior tactical lead was relieved of duty because of CQC. And this was really, the stepping off point of a very good career because you guys taught us right. Mm-hmm. And so as a new guy coming in, all of a sudden, you're like, okay, these are older guys, these are veterans, these guys have proven themselves. And so you want to do good for those reasons, but you also, you need to learn this thing and be able to be proficient in it because you're taking this overseas and you're doing it for real soon.
Yeah. And we know what came right after you guys got towards the end of that workup.
Shortly after the GWAT, I was a new guy, and the last, really sustained war was Vietnam. And you had a couple skirmishes in Grenada, Panama, and Somalia that was very isolated within the teams. But like the bulk majority of the teams hadn't seen like actual combat. And so, but we were always training. The mentality was always like, hey, we're preparing for the war, whether we are in war or not. We're just break glass in case of.
And we were good. Just good, hard training.
Good, hard training.
Kept our heads afloat.
And so as we got out to Shaw's out in the Mid-South Institute of Self-Defense shooting and getting in the kill house, we called you and the crew the Iron Curtain. Back in the old Pittsburgh Steeler days, because, guys, just to mention a few names, we had, Rob Harless, we had Mark L, Tyler B, Dan T, who else was in there?
Ivan K,
and Chris D. And I mean, everyone with the exception of Chris was probably over 230, over 6'1", and
sure.
And it was just like, you're like, okay, like, I better do good because I'm actually now physically intimidated for my own safety here. And so that was kind of me meeting you. But the one thing that really stuck out and always stayed with me through my entire career, I did 24 years in, is every time we would cross paths, whether it be at the team or when I switched teams, when I went out to the East Coast, you were always the leader, mentor, and friend. Yeah. And, you were always further on in your career because you had been in longer, but always shelling out good advice, helping move the ball forward, still a tactical leader, but yet, operational, and then just mentor. So I just wanted to say thank you for that and for being that the entire time.
Those words,
till your last
that
day.
Feedback, even after all these years, you learn something new every day. The Iron Curtain. I love that. I'm going to use that now just to, when I talk to some of the friends, Tyler B and those guys. Yeah. Did you ever know that? But
you guys would pull up to the house and be like, oh, the Iron Curtain's here. And you guys were just angry. And you were led by Mark L, and he was so angry at us. Yeah. But like meeting him later in my career, he's such a cool dude.
Such a great guy.
Great guy. But I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to tear us to pieces. I better be perfect. But it was that training cell, that mentality that essentially, created the trajectory of my entire career. Because I strived to be around people that, one, were not going to lie to me or blow smoke up my ass, and that were going to train me hard and do it because it was the right thing to do. There was no, beating around the bush or, hey, you did this great. No, it was like they'll throw a chair at you if you mess up.
Right. And I'll tell you, like, I go back, I think about 30, 31 years in the community. There's different groups of young men that come into our teams. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but they have a different level of attitude or performance or culture as they come in from the center and they come in from SQT. But I remember your time frame specifically because it was a group of guys that you and I both know so well and we're still close with. Some have passed on, but, Dave H. and Mark C. and Heath H. and all of these guys had something about them, and it was energy. It was the ability to take on board, to listen, to learn, but also keep a smile on your face when we were just hammering down on you guys. And it's that way to this day. And that's why I'm still friends with all of you guys and honored to be so.
Absolutely. And same for us from that generation coming in. You always have your low, mid, and high tier guys. Like, Team 3 did it right because they stacked their training cell. Like guys wanted to stay in platoons, guys wanted to stay operational, and to get pulled out and said, no, you're going to be a trainer is sometimes a smack in the face.
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't realize that you're serving the greater good of a 100+ man team now that is going to benefit from there. And that benefit's going to ripple through generations. And it did, because my entire generation, which was one behind yours, became those mentors and became those tacticians and tactical leaders throughout their entire career.
For sure.
And so when you fast forward, 20 plus years from that moment, I come to a place where I was nearing the end of my career, and the injuries had just completely spiraled out of control. All the deployments I did took some heavy hits throughout those deployments in training and in combat. And by the time I was, turning the 20-year marker, I had 6 or 7 surgeries. I was really hurting. I was overweight. I was, I couldn't get the weight off because my knees were shot, my shoulders were shot, my lower back, cervical spine was all shot. I bring up that time because, we had this time at the beginning of our careers where we were young men. We were young, healthy, vibrant men. And then here we were, 20 plus years later. And I remember, the community started kind of getting a little aggressive with me because it was like I was going from one surgery, 6 to 12 months later, another surgery. So I'm spending all this time on convalescent leave. My rank structure had gone up, so there's more expected of you. And the ability to heal yourself is kind of going like, no, you put yourself last.
For sure.
And then you put the teams first, and family falls somewhere awkwardly in there. And we promote the family and stuff like that. But in reality, to be a warrior and to walk within the special operations community, everything kind of takes a back seat to it.
That's right.
No matter what your intent is.
Everything does. There's no really getting around that, especially as you go into the forward tactical positions and the leadership positions at the same time.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that things tend to get pushed to the back.
Yeah. And so on the back end of my career, I remember, you still being the mentor, the leader that you were. I walked into your office and I was like, bro, I'm closing the door.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fucked up. I'm legit fucked up. And I'm not just like, yes, I got some body issues going on, like mentally, emotionally, things weren't aligning. And then there was constant pain and chronic insomnia, chronic severe insomnia, if you want to go with my actual diagnosis. And it was you, Troy W. and Liam H.
Yeah.
And you three were like, hey, back off. We're putting you here. We're going to get you better. And those moves that like, leading from a place of compassion, but then also knowing where we've been through, what we've done, that, hey, this guy's been on high RPMs for over 20 years, and now he's actually breaking, and we're going to discipline him for it.
Right.
We're going to embarrass him. And it was a strange kind of thing that was going on. But I remember, like, in the top leadership, where we were at, you, Troy, and Liam stepped up and kind of like, put that brotherly blanket over it and allowed me to retire with dignity.
It's like a secure perimeter, a diamond,
Secured the perimeter and was like, hey, this dude put out for our nation, for our unit, for our outfit, and he's going to retire in dignity.
Absolutely.
And that was like the last act. Like, the first act was you trained me and you made yourself a friend and an ally. And in the very last one, it was an act of protection.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say thank you.
Absolutely,
if I haven't already,
Yeah.
but I'm officially saying it now. Thank you for doing that. And again, I retired with dignity, and, life has been great. We're going to get into our healing journeys here soon.
We will.
Enough of me talking.
Yeah.
That's just my stories with you. Anything you want, your career, and if you want to weave in, injuries, setbacks, all those things that kind of that has us sitting here right now today.
Yeah. So I will say, before I get into myself, like the timeline that you just described for yourself, and I remember that talk vividly in my office, and how do we move forward with this? But the transformation that you were able to make from that point at that time to your dignified retirement to now is unbelievable. And we will get into more of this in detail for both of us, but it's very promising to see that we can go through those careers.
It comes from leadership. I mean, that was true leadership because, again, there is a culture within special ops of shut up and row.
Right.
Shut up and row, do your job. And I mean, we've in another part, I mean, like this is like COVID time frame. This is weird things were happening in the government. Strange. I would even say that NSW was starting to get a flavor of woke going on.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And so all of it was kind of strange, but you're almost like those of who have suffered from TBI, PTSD, things like that. Sometimes you're just looking for a lifeline. And, within the outfit that we wear and the brotherhood that we claim, you start reaching for brothers and brothers turn their back. And then so you start reaching for some of your real brothers, and then you kind of see that like, okay, we're okay. We still have it. And this is just kind of a thing, like when you're put in those leadership positions, sometimes we do need to shut up and row.
Yeah.
We really do. And sometimes people, maybe take the complaining too far. But like when we're talking about injuries, we're talking about mental health, that is the one thing where leadership does have to be invasive.
Yeah,
and then, practice compassion and go like, hey, if this were me sitting here, what would I want my leadership to do? And you did it, you lived it. And, there was no practice or script, it's because it's embedded in who you actually are as a person.
Well, yeah, just, so to talk a little bit about my history, like early 90s is when I came into the Navy, and people always like to know what made you become a Navy SEAL, or what drove you to it. I'll tell you, I'm not quite sure what it was specifically, but my family had a big background of service. Nobody ever necessarily pushed me into anything, but I read about it a lot, and I saw pictures around the house or my grandparents' house of people in uniform. I just had this emotional and mental draw to the military. The time that I heard about what a Navy SEAL was books and libraries.
How old were you when you started getting interested in it?
Just before becoming a teenager.
Okay.
Yeah, so 11 or 12.
Okay.
And you couldn't find anything about our community in those days.
I couldn't find anything about the SEAL teams in a recruiter's office.
Yes.
Even the recruiters were like, we've heard of them.
They
hold on a second.
Knew nothing. Yeah.
They knew nothing.
Yeah.
It was truly a underground kind of thing.
Yeah. So I would just start doing research and probably found some sort of old article or paperback book in a library.
Marcinko, Men with Green Faces,
even
things
that,
like
right.
that.
But even prior to that, there just was nothing.
Was that a Discovery Channel show out?
It was not yet.
Not yet. Okay, because that's what I grew up to.
The Marcinko book was the big first thing that put it on the map. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Road
what I
Warrior,
recall. Yes,
I recall. Yeah.
Absolutely. So anyway, I just said to myself quietly, someday I want to do this. And didn't talk about it much. But as I grew up, I told my dad I was interested in the military. And he was always super supportive, but never said, push me into this, and this. He did want me to become an officer. So at some point, I'm getting older, playing high school football, going to college, little football. And
I was going to ask guys, like, what was your sport of choice? Football seems right.
Absolutely. I was like, I just want to go in and enlist and do this. But my dad and some other folks were like, well, let's go finish college first.
Yeah.
So I did that. I did it quickly because I didn't want to be there. Did it in about 3.5 years and focused the whole time on this Navy SEAL thing. Again, people didn't know much about it. Or if they did, it's like, oh, nobody makes it through that.
I almost feel like becoming a SEAL is almost like a call to be a warrior. Like the same like that you would see in the religious where I had a call to be a minister or a priest or whatever. In the warrior sense, like I had the call as a kid. Yeah. Like I just knew that I was going to engage in something.
Weird, this weird thing. It's like almost like a calling. But I think for me, at least, it was something I kind of kept to myself.
Yeah.
Specifically what I wanted to do.
Because we didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But there was a draw towards conflict.
And as it developed and you started to know something about it, okay, so people are calling this the toughest training in the world. And you ask yourself, well, could I do that? But if you go run around the streets and profess it, and you don't make it for some reason, whether it's injury or just weakness,
or stupidity.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then you're going to look like a fool.
Yes.
or something else.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people go to their hometowns and guess what, everyone?
Right.
I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work out and it hits the ego pretty hard.
Yes, it does.
But I think, it's something unique about the people that actually make it. I remember sitting on them bleacher benches, 120, 140 dudes. I'm like $140, 5'10", and I'm kind of like looking at these dudes just tatted up and big guys, athletic looking guys. And I'm like, I'm one of the smallest dudes here. And then next thing you know, just dropping like flies, 10, 20, 30% daily. And you're like, oh, like we're starting to weed out. And the people I would have guessed would have been standing here by the way they look aren't the ones standing here anymore.
That is one interesting thing about buds to me to this day is the biggest, strongest, fastest guys that didn't necessarily have troubles with the runs or whatever it was, quit pretty early.
Yeah.
Those physical things that are most difficult for a lot of people weren't hard for that person.
No.
But they couldn't overcome sitting in that water or being sandy or being awake.
Told what to do and being yelled at and getting sand thrown in your face.
Just not for them.
Get hit with a dead rotting pelican. I got hit with a dead rotting pelican one time and the feathers and guts got in my mouth and I'm like, okay, I guess they're allowed to do that.
That's right.
But okay, turn back. You're playing ball. You're thinking about this thing.
Just getting through college and start looking into what it would take to get like an OCS billet.
Glad you didn't do that, buddy.
Me too. In retrospect.
We needed you
for sure
on the enlisted side of the house. Not that you wouldn't have been a great officer, but
in the early 90s, there was quite a drawdown in the United States military. Economy was getting bad, and so the billets to become an officer anywhere in the Navy, specifically NSW, I think I can remember some details. Like there's only 2 OCS billets per year. One is for an enlisted SEAL.
Well, I mean, this is when we were actually say this. We were manning our officer positions correctly.
That's right.
In line with how the rest of the ground pounding military does it. Before we had this officer surge. Probably in around 2007 to 2010 to where quarter of a BUDS class would be officers where when I went through BUDS, we had one.
It's amazing.
We had one lieutenant and one ensign. And I mean, now you get 15 officers in one BUDS class.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So it was very competitive to get in. And every year I didn't get picked up. And I tried this for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right? And by the way, I got married right after I graduated college. Been married to the same woman for 30 something years, but she was along for the ride, man.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
And
they're ride or dies. And
she did come to me one day and say, you're getting to be about 23, 24. This BUDS thing, whatever it is not going to get any easier as you get older.
No.
Which is interesting that she said this to me. And, we made the decision on the spot to enlist.
That's some crazy wisdom.
Yes.
To know that, I mean, like 23 now is like, oh man.
It was almost like a shit to get off the pot moment.
Yeah. Yeah. But she saw that. And yeah, I mean, what an awesome woman for weathering this wild life as she did. So
yeah. So we decided at that moment to enlist. We'd been married for, let's call it 6 months. Went down to the recruiter. Very, very hard and stern on those guys because they have billets to fill. They know nothing about NSW at that time, and they really don't care. But I have a college degree, did well on the ASVAB. They want to send you towards the nuke or whatever it is at the time. I was like, no, I'm going to NSW. Yeah, but most guys don't make it through. So anyway, stuck with it, went to boot camp, A school, and classed up. So
what was your BUDS class number?
So I started in class 203 and I finished up in 204.
Okay.
So in that time frame, got pregnant with our first daughter. That's one of the things that got me rolled to the next class, high risk pregnancy, so on and so forth. But it was a godsend because of the people that I met, became roommates with Tyler B. And close friends for life. Most of our class got sent to the West Coast specifically. Yeah. SEAL Team 3.
Same as ours. So we were like, whatever, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road from you. And it was the same thing. Like the bulk majority of my BUDS class went to Team 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I started in 225, rolled to 226. And that was, I don't know, kind of a blessing in disguise because a a lot of 225 went to the East Coast or SDV1.
That's right.
And I was like, you know what? I'll take a role if it puts me in the team. And again, we were regionalized back then. In Team 3, like we had desert camis. We were different from the other teams wearing those jungle stuff. And we trained in the desert. And pre 9/11, it was the only team actually doing like sustained special ops.
That's right.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily say combat ops, but definitely special ops.
Sure.
And so it was definitely an honor and a privilege to show up there. And when I got those orders and when they announced it at Buds, because they're kind of like, you know, just like Full Metal Jacket, you know, when they start announcing where you're going, they're just like, you know, Currin, SEAL Team 3, you know, you just get that internal like, yes,
oh, absolutely.
Yes.
For sure.
And I get to wear desert camis and be different than everyone else out here. So it was a pretty good announcement.
Yeah. So I showed up there, and funny thing is, a lot of the guys that showed up with you, you know, we're new guys, but there were a lot of Buds instructors that just got done putting us through that went over at the same time. And it was like this influx of many experienced and inexperienced people to SEAL Team 3. But it was fun to show up there as a new guy. Not being a new guy wasn't always fun, but to learn that your Buds instructors weren't always the damn devil. Some of them were pretty funny dudes.
Funny dudes, cool
friends,
dudes.
you know?
You know, it was nice. You'd see them out in town. I mean, sometimes you would even have run-ins out in town while you were in Buds.
Right.
And it was always just a strange thing. You got people having crazy nicknames and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a good time.
So was able to grow up at SEAL Team 3, do a few workups and deployments and platoons prior to getting sent to the training cell. And you know this from your time at several different commands, what you don't realize is as hard as you're working and as much as you're doing shipboardings and all of these things, in my experience, when you really learn something is when you teach something.
I agree completely. I think becoming an instructor throughout my career, like I didn't start teaching until 2008, 2009. So about a decade in to being in the military, I was put in a position where I became an instructor.
Right. And takes it to a different level.
You see everything from a completely different perspective. Yep. It just makes you a better operator. If you're teaching something tactical, you are going to become a subject matter expert on that within a couple of years.
No doubt.
And then nowadays it's all those things that over a decade or two ago, I can now recite it like by memory. Yeah. And you get good at it, and then you can take that knowledge and then apply it to the physical sense.
And that's one of the things that one of my mentors taught me is the old cliche goes, you know, treat somebody how you want to be treated in this role, but be stern, be very stern, because there's a level of competence that is expected. And if they can't meet it, they're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And
maybe that's where I got that mentorship technique.
I also think that like when you know that your job isn't secured, you know, that separates you to go hey, I'm going to earn this. Like, you know, this is earned. Like I earned my way to a Buds graduation certificate. I earned my way to getting my Trident, but now I'm trying to earn these dudes' respect.
Yes. I'm
trying to earn my place within this warrior ecosystem. Yeah. There's a lot of that going on too that never gets talked about, but that's just the known fact.
You want to be respected in this brotherhood. And part of that is proving yourself every day.
Backing up a tiny bit. Did you sustain any injuries playing football, or were you pretty?
I did. I had quite a number of them. A lot of them, we know what we know now is traumatic brain injury.
Brain injuries are off the hook, especially back then playing football.
You grew up in this era. There was no such thing as go sit on the bench.
Yeah, no. I was a boxer, and so there was you could KO someone. They're sparring in the gym a couple days later.
Absolutely.
And so no, really
because of a lack of understanding of what the long-term effects were. It was all about you want to keep your number one spot. You will get back in that game. You just go in that game drooling on yourself.
So were any of those injuries, were you riding those through Buds, or were the orthopedic ones pretty clean?
Absolutely. The neck, I played outside linebacker quite a bit. So already had neck issues. You start putting boats and logs on top of that head. And it's just feeling the numbness in the shoulders and the arms.
Already as a young man.
That's right. Yeah. As a young, very strong 20-something-year-old. But who cares, right? At that point in time.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, then there was some knee and what we know now, hip issues, but able to power through.
So it's kind of like you just really kind of set them up and then, go to get in your career and be like, yeah, we're really going to make these injuries good now.
For sure. For sure, buddy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So SEAL Team 3 training cell, great relationships built. And then we start to press, your workup, your first workup led us into what we now call Force 21, which is when we did the reorganization of the teams.
I remember getting the brief and it happened while we were deployed.
Yes.
Because when we got back, we're literally unpacking, after like the first sustained war deployment since Vietnam, we're literally unpacking. And one of the old warrants there was just like, hey, heard you guys did some good stuff downrange. And we were like, yeah, we did. He's like, guess what? No one gives a shit. And it was so good to hear that because it was like, squash your egos.
Yes.
It was like, get back to work. He was like, by the way, your whole platoon's going to Team 7.
You know what's crazy
your
about
plank owners.
That time frame is a story I tell some of my close friends in Inner Circle is, we had the firing there of your platoon chief.
Yeah.
And there were some other leadership issues at the time. But because of the chief that you got was a chief that I worked for, Chris D.
Yeah.
We were very tight and very close.
Yeah.
And then Mark L. got a position overseas.
Yep.
And the plan was to take me over.
I remember
to become the
that.
LPO of that platoon.
Yes. And we needed it.
And I was literally bags packed on the front doorstep of Team 3. But because the Force 21 transition had happened, and I didn't really understand this at the time, I was now property of Tradet.
Oh, that's right. They took
But I was still working at SEAL Team 3.
Pulled them into the detachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a big fight over Team 3 Tradet, who I belonged to and whether or not I was going. And we know now, I did not come over and meet you guys, but I went over to Tradet Assaults. And that's okay because what an experience that became.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, a very important command. And to have a guy like you at the foundation of like building it, it was needed because, again, we did eventually de-regionalize and then we just, which was the right move, big picture. We did have to deploy because, we went out there with 16 dudes, no attachments, no vehicles.
No support.
And no support.
Yeah.
It was kind of silly because we get there, we're in Kandahar, November of 2001. And like, we got Rangers and, Green Berets there. And they're just like, where's your vehicles? And we're like, we're just going to patrol the target. And they just looked at us like, you guys don't have mobility.
Pete, remember, bro, Team 3 advertised prior to September 11th, 5 to 7 day unsupported long range reconnaissance missions.
Yeah.
And some of the platoons that we were in were able to sell to leadership. We needed 4-wheelers, quads to take water and batteries and food.
Yeah.
That was the most mobility we had ever had up to that point. And I remember carrying ungodly amounts of weight and, thriving out in the desert, some of these California deserts for long periods of time. Like, is this really a mission that we can conduct?
I
mean, knowing what I didn't know at the time.
And then not knowing that, like, okay, the base that we're at is like 20 miles away from the city of Kandahar. We're not going to walk a marathon to get there.
So here you guys go into theater with that type of mindset. And there were other services looking at us like, you guys crazy.
Yeah. But I tell you what, within 6 months, our platoon kind of became the go-to force. We had got some literally camp admin vehicles that they gave us. We gutted them out and we turned them into just porcupines of weapons. We had the swivel mounts on the back with the 60s on it, 50 caliber Mark 19 on top, or the twin or the twin 60s.
Yes.
I mean, we just, and we drove fast and we drove aggressive and, we made it work. But, that's kind of that's the evolution.
TGM program.
Yeah. That's the evolution. And so you get kicked over to Tradet. We go do our thing. And where does the career go from there?
Yeah. So it's a good point because that first year, because of the reorganization of the teams and now the global war on terror, that cell, just assaults alone, I believe we started off with 5 or 6 guys in it. And at the time, we had many, many disciplines, so you have your CQC, you have your SAUC training, you have your shipboarding, you have
that's right.
all of these things.
It's all CQB.
Gas
it
oil
all
platforms.
Relates to CQC, yeah.
So we were on the road for over 300 days that year as a
shore-based
training command.
Yeah.
And boy, did we learn a lot. Did we get a lot done? But it was a fast pace. So as some time goes by, I screened for the command back east that you went to and had orders there. And right prior to moving back there, I fell and had a horrendous accident, almost killed myself.
Okay.
Had a 20-foot fall out of some rafters into a steel beam, broke every bone in my face.
Yeah.
Cracked the vertebrae in my neck, and thought I was going to die. Everyone thought I was going to die. So the fact that I was able to continue a career as a SEAL, let alone dive, jump, or live.
Did that fall result in surgeries as well?
It resulted in, I think we counted up one time. It was over 10 surgeries. Just that one injury, 10 surgeries. And I mean, like at the time, I mean, this is early 2000s. So it was
early 2000s. Right. And it's not like everything's on the cutting edge as where it could be now. And certainly the modalities that we're dealing with now weren't available to us. But how was that recovery? But then also kind of going along with like, okay, I'm still in the teams. I still need to perform, let me hide the severity of what's actually going on.
So after I was able to, after we were able to determine that I was going to not be a paraplegic and be down for life, again, a lot of that credit goes to my wife. The idea was to kind of get me back in the saddle as an instructor again. And I could only do it portions of the day because of so much head trauma.
Yeah.
Don't need to get into all those details, but the wonderful, some of the wonderful leadership back at the command on the East Coast enabled me to stay in their queue and pushed my orders back.
Yeah.
So the idea was to heal up, get better, get back into physical condition, and then go to selection and training. As time went by, the war started to develop. And then everybody needed everybody.
Yep.
Everybody's going. Nobody necessarily has a special mission. They still had their special missions that they did, but it was game on. And at one point, a leader back there came to me and said, hey, we still want you at this command. There is still a spot for you, but you are going to have to go through a complete medical reevaluation with those doctors. Yeah. And there's a chance that you don't get selected. At the same time, Pete, some great mentors at SEAL Team 7 are knocking down my door. Like, we got a spot for you now. Let's do this. Yeah. So another hard talk with the wife. We're giving up the dream of the East Coast Command, but we're staying out here, and had the opportunity to go to Team 7 and just do some epic deployments over there.
Were we at Team 7 at the same time?
So you left to go to S&T.
Yep.
Right as I was checking in.
Okay. So I literally flew from Camp Jenny Posey to San Diego, and then drove.
Heath, all you guys, all my buddies.
Yeah.
We're now leaving the command.
Yep.
And I was just checking in.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Right on.
So that's how that worked. Great times at SEAL Team 7 for a number of years. Went back to trade assaults because that discipline was very important at that time frame. Went there, and then I bet I was there for 2 months, and some horrific accidents and fatalities had happened at SEAL Team 5. Like, we need leadership, troop chief right now. Anyone ready? This guy's ready. Yeah. Team 5. So at that point in time,
that's kind of fast tracked you. That fast tracked you.
Well, it was a full throttle as fast as you can go. I wasn't really concerned about the positions. I was concerned about staying deployed downrange for the entire time.
I think that was every person's concern. Well, at least, I mean, not every person's concern. Some people
hid.
Opted for some shore duty during the war. Some people wanted to, I'm going to go be an instructor for a little bit and then punch my ticket. And that's okay. I mean, to each their own. Yeah. But then the ones, it felt like maybe 30-40% of the entire manpower was doing 90% of the lifting.
Yeah. When we look back, you can see it. Yeah. Same names doing the same things. Guys, certain people just pressing and pressing and pressing, taking, quite frankly, quite a bit of the NSW heat.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, definitely taxing that person's nervous system, taxing their families, taxing whatever, but we all volunteered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to go.
You know, what's funny? So I look back, I'm telling you this story about my history. Well, don't skip over SEAL Team 7 and those many deployments to Ramadi and all the places that we've all been to that were so hot. Between living on the same compound as the guys that you went to S&T with and participating in some of their ops. Yeah. Without getting too into the details here, you know, Heath and Alex. Yeah. And then the IEDs that were happening in that area at the time frame, and Route Irish and Route Michigan and all these places, these combat operations, walls getting blown out from underneath you, those injuries, while your body was still strong enough to absorb them, had a lasting toll. Yeah. A lasting toll that we know now as we get older. Like, oh, I remember that time that this happened, and my back will never be the same from it.
Well, I mean, here's two instances of dudes just not saying, hey, I need a sec. Is one of them, when we were en route to Iraq, we were in Guam, and two of our guys got shot in a drive-by shooting in Guam.
I've forgotten all about that.
I mean, literally, we were out at a watering hole, local watering hole. There was a confrontation with some of the locals. A fight didn't break out, and instead they followed the taxi that three of our guys got in, and one guy got shot in the face and didn't stay on deployment, but didn't die. And the other guy, I mean, you want to talk about divine intervention. This dude takes a 9mm round through and through in the neck, goes in between his esophagus and trachea and spine, doesn't hit anything vital. And he just had a stiff neck for a few days. And then next, you know, we're in Iraq doing combat ops like the day we hit the ground. Same deployment. We're training in Guam, like, you know, as we were kind of getting through the Christmas season, as our C5 was broke down on the tarmac, and we rolled a Hummer onto Tyler's head, one of our new guys. And we literally rolled a Hummer.
Couldn't believe he survived that.
The only thing that kept his grape from popping was his K-Pop helmet, big ass helmet. And, you know, it was me and 3 or 4 other dudes. We deadlifted the thing off of it, drug him out of the turret of the upside down Hummer. And when he, you know, every blood vessel in his face had bursted. So his whole head was purple. And then he had these punched raccoon eyes from his nods that punched him in the face. And dude stayed on deployment. And guess what he was? A turret gunner.
Yes. And we think about that time frame where these frogmen survive those types of things. And remember, at that time, the vehicles that we did get, a lot of them didn't have doors. We're still riding rails up onto the X. Oh, yeah. And all of a sudden, the heat started turning up. And now all of a sudden, we got to put the doors back on. We got to start hanging steel on those doors because the IEDs just became a hell of a problem.
It did.
Yeah. So
I think that's just the resilience of the dudes you come across. Is those guys could, and probably looking back, should have gone home
for sure
and rested and recovered. But no, they're just like, they're just like, there's no way you're sending me home. I'm staying. Right. Purple head and all.
Yeah. And quite frankly, the need for frogmen was so bad at that time that I think everybody at every level of leadership were not going to take good, strong, hard young men out of the fight, both for morale purposes, but the necessity.
It would have been detrimental to the force, but also to the individual to know, like, oh, I'm watching this from the sidelines, and those are my dudes. So
back to the training thing for a second. You said something at the beginning of our talk about CQB, which is now CQC, and that art form that we kind of gauge ourselves off of as special operators. But I think about that level of discipline, that type of training, that type of warfare. You know, one thing a lot of people don't think about, especially as they rise up and they get further away from the tactical level, is they're always thinking numbers, right? And they want to cut budgets for certain. This is generally speaking on the East and West Coast, but they want to take time and money away from certain disciplines. Right. One of the things they want to take away from is CQC. Oh, yeah. It's expensive, right? Yeah. But if you think about it, almost everything that we train at is some form of insertion or infiltration and not actions on the objective. Right. that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And while that's critical, it's critically important, we sustain a lot of injuries from those other. So what am I talking about?
Jumping.
Air.
Yeah.
All air, right? Fast roping, jumping, diving.
A lot of ankles and knees on those.
Long offset inserts, over very brutal terrain. I just find it interesting that I think most of our injuries come from the training of infiltration, insertion, extraction. We still certainly get injuries in the CQC, CQB.
Usually they're gunshot wound injuries.
That's right. That's a different level, right?
Not really anything, but I mean, like, or
TBI,
ankles,
overpressure,
broken banks. Yeah, TBI with the, before we started really practicing good explosive, minimum explosive distance and separation, man, we were cranking big charges on doors, really close to them.
I'll tell you, if you think about that kill house up at Camp Pendleton, an all steel kill house. And the
roof
amount,
roof didn't have an open.
Had afterthought catwalks that I had to stay bent over at the waist for hours on end with your head, just by this steel and the overpressure that we used to take on a daily basis for hours and hours. And nobody was calculating that stuff.
No, not for a long time. I mean, my first range cleanup day at Nyland, I think I shot 86 mixture of Law and Carl Gustafs with me and a couple other dudes. Yes. And it was the same day that we launched a 5-ton off of a siphon road. And
I remember that.
Kaz repped, an entire squad of us to include our OIC.
You remind me of some good stories.
So some crazy times. But yeah, I mean.
So the ability to train at a place like Mid-South where it was open air, was you could actually tell the difference in your mental status and your mental well-being.
Because the explosion has a place to go.
Yes.
If it doesn't, it just bounces around and goes through 3 or 4 more times before it subsides.
So I just bring that stuff up because I think about injuries in my body. A lot of it is from the entire air aspect of the diving or the driving. Car accidents, man.
Yeah.
Tons of car accidents, both here and downrange.
Downrange. And I mean, like, Dave D got hit by a 5-ton truck and broke a ton of bones and air medevaced off of a training site. And
absolutely.
I think he's still in, or if he's not.
He is still in, man.
You got all these stories of guys getting hurt and hurt bad. So outside of, as we're going down this career, you had, obviously the pre-military stuff, the big fall, the wear and tear injuries. I mean, just wearing body armor and a helmet and leaning over and being in body armor for 10 to 12 hours. It just, everything in your spine and knees and everything is just, gravity is just getting you and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
You don't realize it. You're not drinking enough water. You're not sleeping at night, so you're not recovering.
Sleep is, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
So, I'm extending the description of my career way too long here, but
we got time.
Even after SEAL Team 5, you head back to other leadership roles at the training detachment. And then you start to get picked up as a leader at SEAL Team 3 again. And you go to Afghanistan. You go back to all these places in different roles in combat, all the way up to the Combined Joint Task Force in Iraq as the Command Master Chief. It's actually the Siege of Sodef, and going out with guys on that stuff. So all the way through my career, before I become the Group 1 Command Master Chief in 2019, it just stacked up.
Which that was very nicely positioned for me when I tore my Achilles in 2019 and then just had like another Achilles surgery, a cervical surgery. And it's just like, I was gaining weight. I was stressed. I wasn't sleeping. Like everything was inflamed. And I was like, I'm glad I got Rob up in that CMC spot right now. Cause I can always have somebody to talk to.
And that's where we kind of came back together again.
Yeah.
And that was my last, leadership position in NSW was as the Group 1 CMC that I turned over a couple of years ago. And then because of things that I was going through that are very similar to what you were going through, not understanding them, the massive sleep deprivation, the gaining weight, the ability not to be able to think anymore. What's happening to me? How is this adding up? I think, in the long run, it became one of the reasons I decided to turn the next position down and go ahead and step out.
Yeah.
So that summarizes.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I'll speak on that because, again, like, I'm not a very big person, but I was like 205, 210, just packing on weight, and not the good kind of muscle weight.
Right. No.
And it was just inflation. You know, I was inflamed. I was pissed. My diet was off. My mental state was off. And the biggest thing was the sleep. Sleep thing was like torture. I would be so tired, and I'd hop in my bed 9, 10 o'clock, and I'd do all my sleep stuff. Okay, make sure the room is cool, keep the TVs off and all that stuff. And I would lay there initially tired, and it was like the hypervigilance, and then the mixed with just this like fire would start burning inside me, and then I would be wide awake till the sun came up. And I think there's something to relate with. A lot of us did deployments on what we called vampire hours. So you're waking up, eating dinner for breakfast, and then you're eating breakfast as your good night snack. And you're literally gobbling up Lunesta and Ambien like it's candy. And by the end of deployment, your tolerance for Ambien is so high that you're taking 2, 3, 4 of them things, with 3 fingers of whiskey just to get it down and get some sleep. But you wake up in this chemically unbalanced, like, did I sleep or was I walking around camp trying to fight people? I can't remember.
You do not have your bearings.
Yeah. You're
going to go out and perform. You know?
It's a crazy thing because now it's like our bodies are already taxed,
right?
And our mentality from buds is already like, take it, you can take it. And we really do. Like we tend to have extremely high pain tolerances. Every time I've gotten MRI, the docs, when they come to debrief me, are like, why didn't you come here sooner? And sometimes the answer is like, I didn't know it was hurt that bad. And I mean, like, even for my neck surgery, I mean, like, I got a call from the chief neurosurgeon at Balboa and was like, I need you to come in here today.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just mosey on in there. He is like, your C4, C5 is fractured. And I'm like, oh, okay, so what are we going to do about that? He's like, we're doing surgeries. Take this to your commanding officer, and you're going on, 30, 40 days of convalescent leave. We could cut you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's that serious. And again, like, our ability to block pain and the mental fortitude to drive through that. I mean, that's at the genesis of our career called Buds.
You don't even realize it. But you hear from doctors all the time. How is it that you guys are standing this? I mean, I don't know. This is just how we roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't realize it in this community because we're only familiar with our surroundings. You know, that's both good and bad. When you're a young man, keep charging forward. Yeah. But as you age and if you're not aware of certain things, it can catch up with you.
Right. Oh, and it did. I think for most people. And by the end of the career, I mean, like, even seeing you now, I mean, like, I joke around with you when we see each other out in town, but you're slim as fuck. You look good. I mean, like, I can see your face. I mean, I remember we were double chinning, triple decker stress sandwiches, red faced because of blood pressure. You just go into your office, like, everyone's breathing down your neck. And you think, like, as you climb and rank in the military, that it's going to give you freedom. No,
not
you just realize how low you actually are on the totem pole. You just have a little bit more say over the small group of your people. But all in all, I mean, the stress adds up. And then, the biggest thing I keep returning to was we are brain damaged people. We are body damaged people. We are working in a high stress environment, and we're not sleeping. And sleep it's where your entire nervous system resets.
Yes.
It's time to reset this thing so you can go about your day. But I mean, I would go in 2, 3, 4. The most I ever did was 6 days, 0 sleep. And it was, and I had an episode. At day 6, I had an episode. My sister, who's a nurse, was luckily there. And she kind of, she was like, I'm going to go get you some pills. I need to knock you out.
Yeah.
And I need you to, like, go out for like a day. And I did, and it definitely reset things. But again, I was deploying like that. I was running training departments and divisions like that.
Just like that.
And again, like, you got someone that ain't firing on all cylinders, kind of steering the ship.
Right.
At that time, the ways that they were fixing that was go talk to this dude and go take your pills. And no bust on that. That was all we really knew at that point in time.
That's right. That's what was known at the time. So it's interesting the level of when they do put effort behind studying things, not just blowing team guys off. There's always something at the end of that tunnel that they find out. Now, these guys weren't complaining over the years. There is something to be said about sleep protocol. There's something to be said about the fact that any amount of alcohol and most sleep medications don't really give you recovery sleep.
It's certainly, not great long-term benefits to those either. Alcohol, obviously I've seen a huge drop in alcohol use in the teams in comparison to our years. When I was out running training, you would have whole platoons out there boozing hard.
Yeah. It was
and
just
nowadays
part of the
it's like one or two people have a beer and then it's like, we're going to get up early to work out and get a good healthy breakfast. And
drastically change.
Like, what? Like, right on, man. Like respect.
Yes.
But wow, things have changed.
Yes, they have.
And so you're essentially doubling down on the brain because the brain's not sleeping and the brain is already been, hit with football helmets for a childhood and then hit with explosive charges, rockets, car crashes,
IEDs, the whole works,
bar fights, whatever you want to call it. You take some heavies and now you're not sleeping and now you're putting chemicals in there and now you're self-anesthetizing with alcohol. It is just like, the trifecta of the downward
circular
spiral.
Down the drain
It's right down the drain. And we luckily, have some personalities, some healers, some things that we're starting to look outside the box near the end and near the backside of our career.
And we're here today talking about how you and I met each other. And, I was someone that was ahead of you that you looked up to, but it's people that come around the back end that have made changes in their life, like you and some other friends and mentors of mine that see from the outside and they approach you and say, I want you to think about trying something that you've never thought about before. You're just caught in this vice. You don't know how to get out of it. But when friends are persistent, you try certain programs that I've been very humbled by and very appreciative over the years that have helped get me to this point.
Yeah, almost like some of it's even to the point where you're like, this is just some hocus pocus stuff. Like I want to see an MD. I want a prescription from a pharmaceutical company.
Yes.
And I want to make myself better that way. And, some people are helped a lot by those things. Some people, it actually almost has a reverse effect.
I agree.
And some people just has a minimal effect and they just go from one pill to the next pill, one shot in my knee. Okay, now it's physical therapy. Oh, now it's surgery. Okay, well, the surgery made one thing feel better, but now something's worse.
Yes.
And it's just, you're like, it's the rat race. You're just chasing your tail and going like, I just want to be whole again.
So that's another thing to think about is guys that do a 20 or 30 year career, sometimes younger guys with less years, but there are so many surgeries that stack up. There's a cumulative effect of anesthesia and recovery time that you actually never recover from.
Yeah. I've been put under 8 times.
That's right.
And you just on one injury, 10.
And so that cumulative effect, I actually saw it happen to my mother. Long story I won't get into, but at one point it led to her passing because of how many surgeries she had and how it affected her thought process and daily life. So it's kind of close to home for me, but there is an effect that accumulates and then you don't recover from that. So that was part of my decision is where do I want to go with my recovery once you and some other friends got me moving forward. And it was, hey, once I believed that you could make things better without surgeries, that's the right road.
Like major injuries could be better. Major injuries. Like things that you've had surgery on that have just become these chronic, like excruciating pain. Yes. And I mean, one of my things was I was on, I don't even know how long I was on it for, but I was taking Oxycontin and Valium. Like I was like stacking them.
Just
Like let's go. But like forget Percocets, man. I'm going Oxycontin. And I tell you what, it was the only thing that relieved the pain. And then you build a tolerance to these things.
We did that
and
in our community
now
to
I
ourselves.
need 2 oxys.
Yeah.
And now I need 3 oxys. And then I exhaust my prescription early. Shame on you. You're not taking it in the program. We're going to remove these from you. Oh, and what? Now I suffer more?
Right.
Like that's the answer. And so it's kind of a, it's a dog eating its own tail kind of thing. It's just chasing itself around. And what you're really doing is spiraling down. So what was it for you that, you were offered some top spots in the community, man? Like, you're getting selected. We're hearing rumors down in my people like, I hope he takes it. I hope he takes it. And it's almost like a Maximus Gladiator moment.
Yes.
To where if he doesn't take it, like it's like when they offered Maximum the Rome, and he was like, with all my heart, no.
Yeah.
Caesar was like, well, that's why it must be you.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where we're like, what's he going to do? So you're offered the big spot.
Yeah.
Or it's at least in negotiations, but you go the other way and you're like, I'm punching.
Yeah.
Where was that decision process and like what's interweaved into that, as to why?
Yeah. So I was the Group 1 Command Master Chief for a really long time, 5 years, which is too long for anybody.
Echelon 3, that's a lot of people. It's over 1,000 plus people that
the entire West Coast teams.
Yes.
And then some other commands.
The training commands, a lot of other ones. Yeah.
Just too much. Right. But then that next level is for the entire community. But I had very good friends and mentors that believed in me and thought I would do well at that job and encouraged me over a period of years to screen and compete for that job. And that screen and compete one time was to stay longer at Group 1 with the third Commodore that I worked for. That bumps that job down the road. The next time to screen and compete, taking care of my very sick mother. Then the final days were, I don't mean to sound boastful, but it got to the point where I was more than likely the next one.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Pete, many factors went into that. And some great people in our community, which there's a bunch of, saw my exhaustion, the blood pressure, the health, the anger, the intolerance building over years. And like, what you need is some downtime and family time, not years, but go to this program. And the program I'm talking about is put on by our foundation right here in San Diego. The intent was for me to go to that for 4 weeks. Sometimes you get 2 added on and to get me well so that I could take that next level. And I'm here right now telling you.
But did that mental clarity say it's time to hang this up? Was not yet.
So this is what's funny. I'm not sure how many people know this, but I'm telling you, you're one of the first people to know, and that's okay. Going to that program and focusing on that program and being at home every night with my wife and my daughters, who are now both adults at that time, but spending time with them had the opposite effect, bro. That program and me dropping weight, getting stronger, all the modalities that they practiced on you.
Yeah.
I decided that I was done.
But
again,
of getting your back cocked for the big seat.
People were taken aback, but just that is not what we intended.
Yeah.
Right?
Were some offended or were they accepting?
Both. I don't know that offended is the word, but
maybe.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Even I was just a little disappointed in myself. What are you, a fucking quitter?
Yeah.
You know? Because we all think that till the day we actually retire.
Yeah.
You know? But the ability to see clearly, you're not having alcohol. You're taking your medication use way down. You're sleeping, or at least they're really focusing on the sleep with the Oura Ring, the light beds, the cold plunges, the everything, right? That's the first time I've done anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty about it, but it was something that when I left and came back, I called the person, a very good friend that was in that top seat at the time. We had a long sit down like you and I are doing right now, just without the cameras and mics. I said, I'm going to let this community move on and I'm going to go a different direction. And here's all the reasons why. But one of them is for my wife and my daughters and me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that I'll live a long life if I make the decision to stick around for another 4 years, 5 years, and I'd be pressing 60 if I would have stayed, you know, be at the 35-year mark. So to answer your question.
And then they dangle another carrot because that's just echelon 2.
They do.
You got to go to that echelon. You got to get that echelon 1 CMC
it keeps
next.
rolling, man. And this day and age right now, for quite some time, if you are a master chief and a warrant officer, I'm a little bit different, but you can stay as long as your community wants you.
As long as you're taking the next up position.
You don't even have to have that.
Yeah.
Not as a master chief. You can just hold tight. You can move around because we control our own rate. Don't mean to get into the technical aspects.
Yeah, but no, it's true. Yeah,
but the force master chief just moves his master chiefs around and says to the master chief petty officer of the Navy, "This is what I'm doing with my guys," and it's good. We have guys that are at 35 and more. Yeah, just pressing on.
So let's go back. So you make this decision.
Yes, sir.
You make the decision. You're like, I'm doing it. You have the conversation with the mentor and friend, and they go, "Yep, roger that." You start dropping paperwork. You start moving towards that. How was that process of getting out? Because you usually have a year, sometimes year and a half. You know, you got to do these classes, do paperwork. But like, what was going through your head mentally? How was the post-program body? Were you keeping the diet, keeping the nutrition, continuing to do those good things in your transition? Yeah. Was it a joyful transition? Was it a difficult one?
Yeah, I love that question. So once I believed in that program that I was in for 6 weeks, just like everything else team guys do, I got addicted to it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sleeping better. Oh, I'm waking up in the morning with a clear head. I can, after 10 a.m., I can actually see straight.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sleep deprived that I think I need to, admit myself to a hospital. You've been here. I'm talking about, I'm going crazy, man.
You're psychotic.
Yes.
When you're not sleeping, you start to get a little psychotic.
And remember, bro, where I live, I'm driving an hour and a half each way per day. So that is another factor on top of it, right? So I see that I'm sleeping. I'm somewhat on my own schedule. So I'm still putting in work. I'm exercising every day. I have resources to get the right food and nutrition in me. My family members are all on board with it, doing it with me. So my point is, I stuck with it because it was making a drastic change. And now I've got some time till I retire, and other opportunities and programs started to be presented to me. I've never taken anything from our community.
Right. Yeah.
And
you give.
We
give to the community.
Think I'm going to take advantage of some of these things.
Yeah.
Like programs on the East Coast and so on and so forth.
It's weird being selfless. Like, you're selfless, but then all of a sudden you go, even though you're like, I'm doing a medical program to heal myself so that I can be a better father, a better husband, a better person.
Which is the most important thing.
And we
in the
feel
world.
guilty.
Yes.
We feel guilty for doing that. Like, I'm going to be in this program for a month and they're going to cater to me and help me get strong and healthy once again. I can't believe I'm using my time like this.
Right.
It's such true, man. Why do we do that? Yeah. Why do we do that to ourselves? But again, I think that is the right mentality that's forged into us at a very young age. Like abandon self, team always. Yeah. You just kind of abandon anything that you want to do, and you serve this warrior culture that we live in.
Yeah. So I start the process of all the things that you need to do to retire. And it stings a little bit, right? And if you're not around the compound down there every day, guys start hitting you up on your phone. Hey, where are you? I need your advice. What do you think about this? So they're trying to pull you back in because you've been there for them for all of these years. That was difficult to break away from. It still is to this day.
Yeah, of course.
I gave a little toast at one of the C4 Foundation events and kind of opened up to the audience. I don't remember if you were still there, but I'm very good at isolating myself. And I know now that that's not healthy. Yeah. And I gave homage to a bunch of friends in the audience of guys that weren't just reaching out for their own purposes, but reaching out to check in on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It means a lot, man.
Yeah.
Because we have to stay connected like you and I are doing right now.
Really do. So, and again, it's like, yes, I'm retired. So therefore I'm no longer a U.S. Navy SEAL on paper, but I was a warrior before I ever went to BUD/S, and I'm a warrior now.
Yeah.
And so you bring that I guess vibration of what a warrior is with you the entire time.
That's right. Absolutely.
So at the peak of your, like where you were the group CMC and where I was, for my frame, I was like 205, 210, red faced and fat cheeked. What were you at like at the peak of your weight? Because you look slim and healthy now. Like where were you at then and where are you at now?
So first of all, I'd started to have issues over my career a couple times, specifically after that big accident.
Because if you're hurt, you can't get back in shape.
Yes.
You can't run, you can't lift, you can't do the things that make your structural things stronger to support the injuries.
Yeah. So there was times I went up, not super high, but too high, right? And come back down. Thought I had the system down, but there was something always inside me breaking that would pull me back into what I thought was this vortex. And there's no doubt some of that was me. I should have just had a different mentality. So I did the Aging Warrior Heart Study. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I've heard of it, but never did it.
And so what they were doing is we've lost a couple brothers in their 40s that had heart attacks.
Right.
And so I think it was Balboa that sponsored this study, and you went over, you signed up for it, and they took pictures of your heart. You sat down with a cardiologist and a radiologist, and they discussed what damage there was or there wasn't. And so there was some buildup in my arteries, but it was reversible.
Okay.
And so at that point in time, I was actually not overweight at the time, but the blood pressure was super
stress.
High. So they started loading me up with medications. It's not just their fault, but here comes the medications. And then some stressful times in the teams. Now comes COVID, and we're finishing up some of the dramatic things that happened with individuals in our community that I won't bring up here. Some stuff downrange. It was just, here comes the pyramid of crap again. Building the
culture was hurting at that time.
The culture was hurting,
and you had, I'll say we had some senior people going woke,
man,
and we had the majority of the force, relatively conservative and just wanting to do the job, and that's a hard thing to balance. I saw it. I mean, the types of training I had to go through, where I was like, wait, I'm going to do 2 days of training to. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going.
So what happened drastically, and I'm getting older at the time, right? Drastically went up was blood pressure, cortisol.
Everyone's red-faced.
Just weight, 275. I hit 275.
Oh, yeah.
Which was insane. Getting to the point where I'm starving myself all day. And
trying to get it back down.
Trying to get back down. Just drastic team guy stuff.
Not feeding your brain, not sleeping.
Not doing anything right. Oh, by the way, dip in Copenhagen and a can a day to stay awake in the office. And probably a bunch of energy drinks on top of that. Knowing it's all bad.
Yeah.
But man, I got to function and get through the day, right?
Yeah, you need that monster.
Doing that ridiculous drive every day. So to answer your question, I hit some peaks. Like this is not sustainable. And both of my daughters have a super close connection with me. But I will share this with you. There was a point in time where I was so off my rocker with sleep and alcohol use, where on a Friday and Saturday night, I waited for my family to go to bed. Then it was like my time, man. I don't know if you ever experienced anything like this, bro.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And now I get to patrol the perimeter of my house.
Done that.
Make sure that there is no one plotting on my family, dude.
I hear anything I have to investigate.
Bro, I'm sitting there with my weapon next to me. I'm pounding beers as hard as any human being can all night long. And I go to bed about 5:45, 6 in the morning. This is almost every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
For a really
some of those
long
even
time,
bled into the weekdays.
Oh yeah.
For me. Yeah. So I was pulling some of those nights of the week. I mean, there were times where we just closed we'd be at the team.
But yeah, so
we'd start drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Remember, I'm dipping like a crazy man. I'm like, what? This isn't me, man. But I keep doing it. And my oldest daughter, who I'm very close with, comes home one night and she's an RN. She's got a master's degree and very in tune to health and all that. And she has a sit down with me at like 2:30 in the morning. I'm sitting there doing my thing and she's interrupting me. And she says, Dad, in so many uncertain terms, she starts explaining the use of tobacco with alcohol and how that accelerates the cancer coming on and heart disease and so on and so forth. And for some reason, this young lady, she can just connect with me. And she did.
Yeah.
And I know that next day, I have to do something different. You know,
was that the kind of like your splice of like that conversation?
Yeah, I wasn't even close yet to being done as the CMC.
Yeah.
But when my daughters have a hard talk with me, there's
time to start implementing the lifestyle changes.
Not that my wife wouldn't. She's just super supportive, man. And she's just going to do whatever she has to keep the machine turning, you know?
So pushing 275, what are you at now?
I'm at 215. 220 bouncing between those two. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like you're 6'3"-ish. I mean, like that was the biggest thing is like seeing you over time, just slim down, your face you look younger.
Yeah.
You have a normal complexion. It's not red.
Yeah. I hope not, man.
You know, there's the blow, you know, cause I felt the same way. I look at pictures of me, you know, before I retired and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't even look like me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like sunken in eyes from like not sleeping, just like.
Yeah. You know, we sit here, we lay ourselves out for one another, right? Even though we're being recorded, to open up like this is helpful because I never felt like people said, do you know, in all these questionnaires, do you think you have a drinking problem? No, I don't drink unless I want to, right? I still don't think because I don't drink right now. But I mean, if I go to one of the events or something, I'll have some cocktails. But in other words, it wasn't out of control. What I was doing was having an escape on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, you needed to pull out the nothing box and just like this is for me.
And knowing it was wrong, not healthy for me, but good people were able to direct me towards things like you did for me, into things that have changed my life, buddy.
But now we're going to get into our healing journeys.
All right. Yeah.
Our healing journey, your healing journey.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, there's some factors of yours and mine that do kind of align. Obviously the t-shirt you're wearing right now, Virginia High Performance, is funded by Navy SEAL Foundation. That's a huge factor, man.
Huge program.
There is so much good stuff that went into that, from the dietitians, the food provided, the workouts down in the gym, the recovery items, the chiropractic word, body works. I mean, all these things that you would think a professional, a professional athlete has access to these within their job, you know, and I look at SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers, you know, all our counterparts throughout special operations. We are tactical athletes.
Yes, for sure.
And we are a very, very small percentage of the overall U.S. military, to where these things could and should be readily available, but sometimes they're just not. And whatever that's due to, you know, no fault or to anything or anyone or finger pointing, but there is a sense of having to find your own path to what you consider healing.
Isn't that the truth?
Isn't it? Yeah. And I mean, if you would have told me while I was still active, like holistic healing, yoga, acupuncture, you know, these sort of things, like that's what's really going to move the needle with you, I would have said pills, surgery, weight room, please. Thank you. Like that's where I would have been like, don't tell me that I need to breathe and sit down and breathe for 10 to 15 minutes a day, and that's going to calm me down. Give me a pill. That'll calm me down.
Right.
Or give me a beer, you know, something like that. Then I'll be good. Put me around my brethren. And for some reason, that really calms me down. You know what I mean? Like being around the wolf pack, there's security in that. There's a lot of security in that.
But to your point, with a group of type A alpha male personalities, that is one of our roadblocks, is guys think that they know themselves, right? And will be reluctant at times to try other things or try unknown things. And until they make their own decision to at least be open-minded, they can cause themselves a slowdown or a backwards fall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've done it to myself.
I looked at it like, you got your three things, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit. I didn't know that those things work in such unison with each other to where it's like, okay, body, fix body. Mind, I'll fix mind.
I'll take care of that.
Spirit, what is that? What is that hocus pocus? And you really got to serve all three equally.
For sure.
And, mind and spirit, body will follow.
Right.
Fix the body, calm the mind. Yeah. All of a sudden it's like, when you think about an injury and what an injury is and a chronic pain, I mean, you're waking up and you've probably had these mornings. There were a lot of mornings where I did not sit and then stand out of bed. I literally would roll off of my bed into like, kind of like on all fours, and then like sit there and then like hoist myself up and literally have to realign my lumbar spine, my cervical spine and thoracic, and just be like,
in order to
chunk
move
it
forward.
into place.
Yes.
Just be like, all right, now you can brush your teeth.
And that takes time.
Oh yeah. And you get used to it. It becomes normal.
You think it's normal.
Yeah. Like
this is it. Well, it is normal for you.
It is.
But you also think, boy, this is just part of the aging process. Everyone must go through this.
Yeah. When you're in your 30s.
Right.
Late 30s and early 40s, and you're doing that stuff. So what was your healing journey? I mean, maybe even kicking it off with whether it was VHP, but maybe it was that talk with your daughter of just like, things got to change. Yeah. And I got to become open.
Yeah. So I'll reach way back here on this one. So I'll put you into a time zone here. You were at SEAL Team 1 and you had just deployed to relieve us.
Okay. Yeah.
And you and I met up in Jordan. We got to spend about a week or 2 weeks together.
Love Jordan. Good,
and every night we'd do a hot wash at the end of the night, but have a couple beers and dinner.
Yeah.
I remember this vividly because it was the first time you and I got to catch up in a really long time.
Yeah, yeah.
But
that overseas setting's perfect,
That deployment in particular, I was the operations master chief at SEAL Team 3. Still quite young, strong, but didn't know there was things happening in my body at the time. And unfortunately, get home from that deployment, had a third of the team in Afghanistan kicking the shit out of people, another third of the team in PACOM, another third in CENTCOM, right? But got home from that deployment and ended up losing 2 guys within weeks, one of them being one of my closest friends. And then right behind him, another guy. One was a training accident with Brad, and another was an overdose. So that time frame and those events began an acceleration of my sleep deprivation and my mental state spinning out of control. Okay. And so people, very important people and friends, the CO of SEAL Team 3 at the time, Alan, recognized this in me, sent me to NICO. So I went to NICO in January of 2015. And was very open-minded about it. The problem was I was the command master chief now. And my team was right in the middle of its workup. But I knew if I didn't take this opportunity, and people were urging me to, they weren't telling me to, we'll cover down, right? I thought NICO was going to be just, if you show up, they will fix it. You don't have to do anything but be there. Yeah. But it was my first opportunity to experience a wonderful program. Really what they did was a lot of experimental medical, they're trying new things with their patients. I think also there's, again, no bust on military medical systems or anything, but like there's kind of a culture sometimes that you can come into to where you don't feel like you're very welcome in their hospital, and you just like, you're a number. They're going to punch their ticket. They're going to give you what you need, whether it be a surgery, a pill, a procedure, and then you're on your way. And then another unit will pick you up. And those 2 units maybe don't talk, and they're going to take you the rest of the way, to where these programs like you spoke of, NICO and others,
there was a different mentality going to
Very different.
where they were like, hi,
Yes.
welcome. Oh, we're going to take care of you. And even if they couldn't fix you,
Right.
at least it was like they were positive.
Yes.
And they were welcoming, and they were like we're ready to work.
The first day
Let's
there, I'm in a
go,
room full of 10 doctors.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the middle of them. And you're going around to each one of them, each one of their different practices.
Yeah.
And telling them, answering questions and telling them your history. I've never been treated like that before in my life, man. You're allowed to have your spouse with you, right?
Yeah.
It's a complete detachment for the most part of your job. And I'm there with friends from your former command, you know, so it's familiar faces, right? But, you know, they're introducing things to you that you've never heard of before, like art therapy, music therapy, yoga, and all this stuff does work for certain people.
It's amazing. It's
right?
amazing stuff.
Some of that doesn't work for me,
right?
But that's okay. It's not all about me. So that was my first step into, there is something different out there that can heal you, mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
But it's also the first time they diagnosed. At the time, I was what they said the second worst sleep study they'd ever recorded.
I think I was the first.
You might have been. So that was very telling, Pete.
Yeah.
That was a huge red flag.
To understand, like, what were you at? Like when they broke out your week, was it a multi-day study? Was it a one overnight study? Like when you broke out, like you were averaging little to no sleep on average, but then probably not even touching REM or deep.
And they said at that point that I had probably not slept a night of sleep, as in restorative sleep, in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Very similar.
Which explained a lot of things, man.
Yeah.
Injuries not healing. At this time, I'm really fit, but I'm in a complete physically.
Yeah.
But not mentally, emotionally, or anything like that. But there was also things about my body not changed. I could not recover, man.
Yeah.
I just the normal things that someone at 40 years old should be able to do that was in very good physical condition. The sleep thing was really starting to rear its head, and all of a sudden, okay, people are recognizing this. I got a double whammy out of that. Remember we talked about me crushing my face and head?
Yep.
So I still have nerve damage that comes from the back of my head up over the right side of my face. And it can be very debilitating at times. When they put me on a CPAP, they went through nights and nights of all these different masks. And we actually went through years of people trying to develop masks for people like me to not stimulate the nerves. So over time, what we realized was using a CPAP was actually more detrimental to my sleep than not using one at all. I couldn't tolerate it. So all night long, I'm fighting this thing on my face. It's firing nerves off. It feels like someone's stabbing me.
Blowing air in.
Yeah,
but it's activating nerves that are going to cause high pain level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where weight gain and all this stuff really starts to ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But NICO itself was a huge eye opener for me, and coming to Jesus, like, you can do things for yourself that don't involve surgery and medication. But they did want to dish out some medications there as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the biggest thing about NICO, and maybe this is somewhere you're going to go. What I realized right off the bat, Naval Special Warfare at that time, 2015, even though it had been sending guys to NICO, was in no way, shape, or form funded, manned, or set up to follow on.
Or to receive those guys back.
Or to receive those guys back, man.
Yeah, big time.
And that was not good. Balboa and Big Navy Medicine didn't understand it at all.
No.
So any sort of off the beaten path modality of treatment was shoved to the side. And we had great doctors and great care providers in NSW, but the numbers were so small at the time, they just couldn't keep up, and they didn't know. They certainly tried, and they would go back to NICO and learn, but they just didn't have capacity to receive guys and continue training.
They were not just seeing their entire NSW lineup. They had the entire U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps
100%
that are stationed in the greater San Diego area as patients as well. They would just kind of do the one-off, hey, Doc so-and-so's the shoulder guy, he's coming to talk for 1 hour. But that guy still has a stack of patients back at the Naval Hospital.
Oh, and bro, this is where we first discovered that my testosterone levels were in the high 100s at 40 years old.
Yeah.
And that my cortisol levels were off the charts. But you come back and you talk to folks about.
Yeah, at this point in time, no one's even talking about burn pits.
Nobody.
Microplastics. You think about you remember those pallets of water?
Yes.
Just cooking in the 120 degree Middle East
direct sunlight. Yeah.
Direct sunlight, and just ripping those and just drinking them. Just drinking that water as much as you can. I mean,
or sleeping every single night downwind or every day from the burn pit. Or on your berthing is on Biap International Airport where all the heavy airlift is just sitting and going back and forth all day. You're breathing that.
You're breathing it every day. And we're not even tracking that stuff yet.
No.
And so you got all these micro factors happening. And meanwhile, you have major injuries, major insomnia, all this stuff. You have these one-off clinics for very small numbered cohorts that are trying to push move the needle. And then you're launched right back into
it.
You're back into it.
So, yeah, to go back to your point, that was my first eye-opening session that, hey, there's an answer to what you're going through and there's a way forward, but what is it, right? And there's a realization now that naval special warfare, Navy medicine just wasn't set up to continue that follow-on.
I think what they're great at is acute injury, patch it, fix it, get them back into ranks.
And that's what they're supposed to do. Just think about those young Marines, and I'm talking about en masse, that had to come home and go through Balboa. Yeah. And Balboa, did their best to take care of these young men and women. And some of us went through Balboa or Bethesda at the time back on the East Coast. They did a great job of the masses of injuries that were happening at those times.
And I understand that the military's position is to get you back as close to where you were, get you back to the status of fit for full duty. And everything that means. And that's their job. Why? Because we're a military and we need to put the mission first. And this is kind of where, the splice for you, it's at NICO 2015. You're starting to realize hey, if I really want to get better, there's a lot more to it than put the Band-Aid on the boo-boo and take the Motrin.
For sure.
So please continue on that path.
So once I had that knowledge in my head, I continued to press the assault as a Navy SEAL, as a leader, right? And some of it was good decisions, some of it was bad. But I think as we started to move forward, NSW did start to get some more capacity. The
war started to go down.
The
injuries and the mental stuff start to go up.
There you go.
Team leadership recognizes there's a problem. We avoided the suicide bug for a while.
And
then
so
it blew, other communities, you would see some of them drop in that sense. And we were just okay, NSW, not really a suicide.
That's right.
And then it hit. And so it was delayed maybe a little bit, but all of it created enough of a demand signal to where leadership had to react.
They did. Yeah. They did. And United States Special Operations Command had to really start taking notice of what was happening inside their ranks. And remember, they're not just naval special warfare. They're Army special operations, Air Force special operations, Marine Corps special operations, and the suicides, the depressions, the domestic issues were really adding up. And so funding began to happen and focus began to happen. Those things were behind the power curve, in my opinion.
They were coming in late.
Yeah, coming in late for sure. But you could see
the infrastructure wasn't there to sustain the amount of people that were going to need these things.
And until Group 2 and Group 1 had their compounds that they're currently in built up, you couldn't do a lot of this new stuff that was happening. You needed the gyms, you needed the physical therapy facilities, and we would just find an empty building, gut it, and fit as much as we could inside there, and call it. That's what we had
50 at the time. Dudes in there, and you couldn't even move.
And all of it takes time, takes money. But now, while we have the facilities, and you have some more people and capacity and caring, it's still restricted. And I think it's not because of the people because anybody that goes into these lines of work in the United States military do it for a reason. There's a passion. Yeah. There's a desire to do it. So I'm generally speaking about medical people, healers, right? But there's always budgetary concerns. There's big military, big Navy medicine rules. There's bureaucracies.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's hard to overcome. It's difficult
and when
to
you're
overcome.
trying to weave in a culture of healing into these, black and white bureaucracies, it's a difficult thing. And I feel for the doctors and the medical staff that that they know they can do more, but their hands are tied.
Because the idea is to keep the young man or young woman in the fight. Don't let them get to where you and I got, where they can hardly stand up when they get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
We want to recognize something, diagnose it, treat it then, and keep them operational. That's the goal. That's the goal of VHP. That's the goal of other programs. So how do we stay ahead of that? And I think sometimes it's a little too slow inside the ranks to keep up with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it'd be hard to find anybody that wouldn't admit to that.
So NICO, then what? Where you're kind of going into alternative modalities in a way.
So I start to experiment with acupuncture, experiment with chiropractic. I think the chiropractic program in and out of the Navy really kept me going.
Yeah. But a lot of these, so acupuncture, chiropractic work, one thing I started doing a lot of near the end of my career was yoga.
Yes.
I got into yoga because I couldn't lift weights. I couldn't squat. I couldn't run. I could swim. I could do low impact stuff. And then all of a sudden I was like, all right, I'm going to do yoga. And I started feeling strong, but this is something I never would have saw myself in a yoga studio wearing my Lululemons. You know what I mean? Not actually.
Yeah. But, so after NICO, I had a couple broken bones, shoulder surgery, all from follow-on deployments and whatnot. Again, we go back to Balboa. Can we fit this Navy SEAL in? Yeah, they did a great job of doing that. Cut, fix. So, and then we get back to the healing process, right? We only have so much capacity inside of NSW.
Yeah.
At that time, remember, I'm in time frames here, 2015, 16, 17, 18. At that point in time, there was one person that was going to help you inside that physical therapy department.
Yeah.
And he was overwhelmed, man. I was very open-minded, but now we get to the leadership position. I get home from the siege of Sodef in 2018, long deployment, lost a lot of people that were part of the siege of Sodef, not in NSW, but in other ranks, whether they were partner forces or whatever. And the stress started to build up. We go into that crazy time that was happening to our community. I take over a group one as the CMC, and over time, it just all builds up. And really, what am I referring to? The sleep, the off the charts endocrine numbers, the alcohol use on the weekends, the sleep deprivation. Again, you're gonna hear me say that over and over and over. And age. Now I'm getting my 50s, right? And it just all builds up on me. So the healing process, to answer your question, it builds up so high that my blood pressure's off the charts. My weight's far too high. I'm doing that roll out of bed thing in the morning. Like, this cannot be normal. And that's when I get talked to about going to the VHP program, which to me was a start. It definitely changed my trajectory. It changed what my plans were for the future. But this is really what was my start off point for my healing. That you asked me about later. How did I get from there to here? Well, this has been years and years, brother.
Yeah. It's been almost a decade.
For you, right?
Like
but that
decade.
Was the kickoff point.
Yeah.
But I still couldn't. People still wanted me to do surgery. Do this surgery, take this pill. Take that pill, see what happens there, and then we'll do this surgery. And I'm seeing guys that are my peers or my mentors or guys that are younger than me, they're just not healing. They're getting sicker. They're getting weaker. What is the answer here, man? VHP was a kickoff point.
Yeah.
It got me started. But what is going to make me feel like I'm not 89 years old with my hips, my back, my shoulders, my neck I just couldn't find the answer. I do go to Home Base, that program put on by Boston Mass General. And
that one as well.
You know, I do the 2-week program.
Yeah.
Some more real, you know, clarifying moments and whatnot. But again, that was more TBI and, you know, they call it PTSD or whatever. I was really focused on the TBI at the time, and off you go. And now I've started my retirement process, but man, my oldest daughter's getting married. You and I were starting to work. We did a little bit of work off to the side together there. Yep. I'm feeling good, but man, I'm in so much pain that it's just ridiculous. But I've already made up my mind. I'm not going to take drugs every time a doctor tries to sell me one. Yeah. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to stay on this path. I'm going to stretch more. Maybe I'll get into yoga, but there's got to be an answer. And I had some friends in the outside world that were athletes, professional athletes, that said, you should think about trying some of these folks that are throughout the country, but they cost a lot of money. Yeah. I'll turn it back over to you for a second. But over the years, those NICO years, VHP years, some friends, you being one of them, had talked to me about something in particular that I'd never taken the time to try. Why? Because in my mind, I was too busy. In my mind, I was too important. I couldn't break away. And, you know, I don't know if that's really a real thing or not, but good people that always stuck with me and said, hey, think about this, kept pressing, kept paying attention to me. And that's what I'm so thankful for today.
I keep pinging you on text.
Yeah. Yes.
I check with Dave H and be like, hey, it's like, where's Rob? Yep. He ain't texting me back.
Absolutely, man.
And I just keep just sending like, hey, I can make an appointment for you. That's part of that isolation
thing that I was doing to myself, you know?
Well, you know what? I think another mental side of things is that I think is totally a team guy thing is like, hey, give it to someone else. There's guys that need it more than me. Yeah. We always do that where I'm like, I ain't trying to give it to someone else. This is for you. We got you a grant. We got you money. Go see this dude. He's weird.
It went through my mind. Like, I'm the older guy. I'll figure it out. Give it to one of these younger guys. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And I think what we're referring to now is a very special human named Brandon Taylor.
Absolutely.
That creeped into my life. And I'll tell my quick story of how I met this dude. I was at a gala that supports veterans in many gala season. Yeah. And I mean, ironically, I was sat at the same table as him.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. You know, as we sat at the table, I'm like, hey, who's this? Oh, he's a Marine and this is his wife. And who's this person who kind of going around the circle? And he's just like, you know, my name's Brandon and I do body works and I'm trying to help the veteran community. And I mean, my response to him was just like, man, I was like, love to get a session with you sometime. Right. And it was just the nonchalant thing you would say. But little did I know that like this was going to be like a massive splice in my life from how and what I understood the human mind, body, spirit thing to be. Because it's not just, I mean, you're not just getting a body work session from Brandon. Right. He's doing other things. There's some mentality stuff, teaching, emotional regulation that goes on. It's a whole package. It's not just you go in there and get a body work session. I mean, he's teaching you things about your body, how to handle the stress levels, things you never even knew. And he's fixing things that you didn't even know were broken.
You hit something key here.
Yeah.
It's not just a session where he's hands-on working something on you. It is all encompassing. It doesn't matter how old you are, how long you've been around. He is teaching you something about that circle, that mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
Because he sees it instantaneously. We'll get much more into this.
He sees it when you walk through the door. Yeah. He diagnoses you when he looks at you. And then I'm just kind of like, okay. Like, all right, let's get on the table. And I got funny stories. I mean, you know, for me, I've done a lot of sessions now with Brandon, and every time I went, it was something new and different. Like, you know, what's bothering you? My knee, my shoulder, my this, my that. And and then he'd work it. And I was so used to being in pain that, you know, at one point in time, I think he did something to my knees and calves. And he worked the legs. And what does my ass do? I go and did wind sprints on the beach that day. because I'm like, I feel so good. I'm jumping up and down and not realizing like that a lot of these joints have been massively degraded by fatigue and not being able to work out. But my mind felt like the pain is gone. Let's go. And I was like, just like he let go of a cage and I'm just sprinting up and down the beach and then, re-injured myself. Yeah. And then he's like, okay, like, we got to settle down here, buddy. If something feels good, that doesn't mean go heavily work out on that body part. Right. You need to let this injury to kind of heal and gradually build up.
That happened with you when I finally got my ass in for a session with him. Yeah. He was very poignant to tell me, all right, this does not mean you're going to go out and do this tomorrow. Let this stuff develop and heal, But let me share with you a timeline, how hard-headed I am. About that 2014, 2015 timeframe, I had, I was the operations master chief and the command master chief of SEAL Team 3 consecutively. And I had a young officer that worked with me there. We became close. So let's call it 2016. I don't remember quite what year. He started hitting me up on text and sharing with me about someone that he knew that did this stuff. Little did I know, I'd never met Brandon before, Brandon Taylor. But this young officer really cared about me and was offering me these sessions. And I would listen to him. I'd say, thank you. Yeah, let me know. Or, hey, let this friend take advantage of that. And that happened for a couple of years.
Hook him up. Hook this guy up.
So he's worse off. I'd gone through some of these transitions where I gained a lot of weight and my health got bad, all the way to going to VHP and making my decision to get healthier. But I started to drop weight, and I saw you at the San Diego Gala downtown. I hadn't seen each other for a while. That was the first time in my memory that you were standing face to face and you brought it up with me.
Yeah. I think I was showing off. I was like, look I can squat. Yes, I can bend my back.
Right in front of Christina.
I was like, I can't do that. I used to never, I couldn't, I felt like a cripple. I mean, I literally sometimes walked with a cane.
Because you and I hadn't seen each other since you were going through everything that you went through and then retired and started healing, right?
Yeah.
And there's Pete, the same Pete that I used to know, smiling and happy.
Yeah, because I was sitting in your office going, Rob, I need your help.
Yes.
I was like, the command's breathing down on me. I was like, I can't move. I can't sleep. I was like, I have just had surgery. I got another one planned. And I was like, and I'm just taking frag from all directions. I was like, I need a hand, buddy. Yeah. And you were like, cool. He's like, I'm going to tell these everything to just kind of calm down. Yeah. And, you guys ended up transferring me into a very cush job, to say the least, but so that I could essentially do these things. And then all of a sudden, boom, I retire, disappear. And then I see you at a gala. I'm 20 pounds lighter. Yeah. I'm smiling, same thing with Troy W. I mean, he just gave me a hug and he was just like, you look great.
Yeah,
dude. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know who you were with that night, but it might've been BK. It might've been Aaron. It might've been Jimmy, but one of the guys from the old command, and it really just stuck with me. But then again, I didn't take you up on it because
you're still in the matrix.
Yeah,
still in there.
And not until I had the opportunity to do some work on the side with you. I still don't know if this was on purpose or not, but one day you brought Brandon to one of our training venues.
Yeah.
And that's the first
training
time
a SWAT team.
He and I ever got to meet. I'll let you talk about that if you want, but that was the first time I met Brandon.
I think that maybe there was a little bit of I don't think there's anything as there's no coincidences. Sure. But I mean, it wasn't like I was like, ooh, I'm going to corner him. Right. But it was just, I needed some people for a side job I was working. And, I wanted to introduce the SWAT guys to Brandon also, just to expand his reach within the tactical first responder military community. And when he came out there, gave him the audience, but then he was up in the rafters with you. And there was probably a wink as like, hey, get this guy on your table and get him right. Like, I don't care what you have to do. Yeah. And I think that's where the talks
So that was
with
October of 2024. And I'd made huge strides in the biomarkers, the sleep for different reasons. Right.
Yeah.
But I was still in an insane amount of pain, brother.
Yeah.
and unable to do things that a 52-year-old man should be able to do. And Brandon and I got to start talking, and I committed to him making an appointment. And I don't remember whether it happened in late 24 or 25.
Yeah.
But
talk about like your first experience with Brandon. I think that's always something, because it's the unknown of like, who is this dude and what are we going to do? Okay. He's got some cups. We got a table, and we're going to do some work. So what was your first experience?
What was funny is, I'm sitting there talking with Brandon, and Corey came in the day after his appointment.
Yeah.
And Corey had pulled his shirt off in front of the class. It looked like he was in a paintball fight, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on with this program? So that was my first impression of it. But first time I ever met Brandon for an appointment was where he does these things for us, and went upstairs, and he had the room set up like he does, which is generally you would go in for acupuncture or a serious like athletic therapy or whatever. And you're right. He sees you, and he's immediately studying you, your eyes, your movements, your stature, your demeanor, your demeanor, your prose, how you're saying things, how you're answering questions. You don't realize it, but man, he is really dialed in and focused on you. And he starts talking through what he's going to do and what hurts. And at that time, the big thing that was really getting me was my hips. I don't have to get too technical with it, but my left hip in particular, it was debilitating. Yeah. I thought I was in trouble. Hip replacement, which I've seen almost kill people before. That's where it all started. That day, you know, he knew some of the people that I knew because of how I'd been around for a while, but we talked a lot about you and I. And because you were okay with him talking about experiences that you had, I sat there and absorbed that and listened. And you'd already described this stuff to me. Things that you had issues with, your Achilles, your back issues, all the things that you hurt, and you're a whole different person now.
Yeah. I mean, mind, body, spirit, a totally different person.
Now I'm starting to understand that answer I'd been asking myself about all these years. I'd been hearing about from friends that were professional athletes. It is out there. And it took me a couple of sessions, but this first session is where I realized I might have been lucky enough to find that person that's not going to feed me a pill and that has a way of making something better without sticking a knife in my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sound dramatic right now, brother, but
no, it's not. It's not, because like, you know, you who've had double-digit surgeries, the surgeons do an awesome job. And I mean, thank God for them, but the recoveries are rough. Yes. I mean, you spend like 2 weeks horizontal, you know, just sipping broth, and then you got to go through the opioid constipation. Right. Like that's a blast. And then you got to wean yourself off these, there's an entire process that's really rough. And then you hobble or crutch yourself into physical therapy, and you're at ground zero and you're trying to be a pro athlete again. And it's a long road. And oh, by the way, there's all these other things that I hid for all these years that are,
that's a great point. So all these things I have not even yet spoken
I haven't even got to this shit yet.
And Brandon is interested in them. A lot of the reason is because he feels it. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, why didn't you tell me about this over here? Oh, well, I didn't even think we got to that yet. Yeah. You know, and he knows it. Yeah. He can see it when you walk in, or if he's manipulating something and boom, he sees another problem.
It really was like, it felt like, you know, if I was a robot creature of sorts, a cyborg, it was like all systems operating. Like it was like right shoulder secure. Yeah, it is literally like, as he just did that and he's just like, stand up and test that. Yeah. And then you test it and you're like, there's almost a period of disbelief. Like this isn't going to sustain. And sometimes you retweak it. But now that he's got the mapping, he's just like, let me put that back into place for you. And then, oh, it's back in. He's like, now don't go throw ball with your kids for 3 hours on the beach because I just put your shoulder back into place. Sure. And you're like, sorry, my bad. He's like, give it a week, do some of this exercise, and then go throw the ball. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's healed.
Go back to
like this was surgical a couple weeks ago.
people inside of NSW that I'm close with have had varying experiences with Balboa and their treatment, right?
Yeah.
I am fortunate enough to say that for the most part, I have had, at one time they saved my life, but very good attention to detail and surgeries. And I'll bet some of that is because of my rank and position.
Sometimes I think, yeah.
Right. But they always did well for the most part. But I go back to that capacity thing. They are pushing patients through because they have to.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to have one of the orthopedic surgeons do multiple surgeries on me. And they were successful. But this guy was he had a lot of patients to deal with. So follow-up could be tough sometimes.
And they're deploying.
Yeah, they're
deploying overseas to do a bunch of surgeries overseas. That's right,
because there's something happening overseas that people need it more.
Yeah.
So we go to that follow-on with them, and that's where I always saw the gap, you know, the ability to follow on. And then we get to the introduction with Brandon, my first appointment, a couple of follow-on deployments. And there were some painful moments there. Oh, this thing hurts. I don't think it's ever going to get better. But almost instantly, as in the next day or two, after some stiffness and stuff goes away, like, oh, this is working different.
And it's not even orthopedic injuries. No. Sometimes it's my knee's sore and one of the pipes for my drainage for my lymphatic system, which takes all the crap out of your body.
Yes.
Some of my first sessions with Brandon was just like, we just got to clear your system so that you can actually get the garbage out of yourself. And I mean, there's been times where it's like he did stuff to where I felt nauseous and was like, I felt toxified. And then my urine was like the color of that pillow.
Yes.
And I mean, I was hydrated, and I'm like, hey, he's just like, he's like, your body is cleansing, and then you just stay hydrated, and then next thing you know, it's like, I'm feeling like a new man. You told
me about that.
I'm feeling like a new man here.
You told me about that. Yeah. I was so excited, and then when I got to my first session, he started telling me about it, but our conversation went to my history, and I'll bet 2-3 sessions into him, I described the damage I'd done to my head and face, and got really deep into the sinuses. Our conversation did, and he started just feeling my head and noticing things. And again, I would go out, and either that night or the next day, I'd have a full release of sinuses and sinus pressure.
You know what they mean by full release?
Isn't that,
that's amazing. Yeah,
and that never happened before. And I explained this to all of these different programs, and they would come up with a couple of good things, but never that relief like I felt with a session with Brandon.
Yeah. It's hard to put words to what a person does because he's dedicated his life to this thing as a truly an energetic, holistic, healer, mixed in with ancient Chinese medicine, put up against, modern American style, like rebuilding and everything. But it really is. And the beauty of what he does, it goes in both directions. It's like, heal the mind and spirit, the body will follow.
Yeah.
Also heal the body and the mind and spirit can follow.
Absolutely.
And so it goes, it's like, it goes both ways. And for me, it was, my body was broke and my mind was broke. But by relieving the pain, the chronic pain allowed me to sleep. Removing the chronic pain allowed me to have some form of confidence to where it's like, I mean, I felt like I was like, this is my life. Like I retired at the end of 2022 and I mean, I had a cane in my car.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was looking at my life almost through a lens of depression that, well, I gave it all to the teams. I fought the good fight, but I am going to live the rest of my life. And I was 44 when I retired. Yeah. I'm going to live the rest of my life in excruciating pain, stairs, sitting, standing, all of this. I applied for Social Security with the state. Yep. I was done. I was like, this is my life. This sucks. I'm a young man still, and I will be crippled.
Yeah. That absolutely is the case.
Yeah.
And in my very early 50s, I'm about to be 55, but my wife, we're talking about how is she going to be able to handle me in the not far future, not being able to move.
You're going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big fella too.
She's little. I'm big, you know, and we're having those conversations. Where is it we're going to call home? We have to make sure that that house, that building is facilitated properly.
Yeah.
You know, when I was working with you, we're wearing body armor or just a full day on my feet. It was crushing, man.
Yeah.
And so one other example of the kind of the desperation I was in, we were in a little bit of a financial issue. I needed to get some extra work, you know, and there was an opportunity for me to do some construction work, which I love doing and have a background in it. But I told Brandon that, and I said, I'm going to go work with 30-year-olds, man. And I'm worried that I'm not going to make it through an entire day. And he's like, we got to get you to the point where you can do that. Pete, I went last year up to the mountains of Montana and Idaho and worked with young men.
Schooling them, I bet.
After, you know, at 53, 54 years old, not only kept up with these dudes, but shined, man. And again, it's not about me. It's about what Brandon was able to get me to a point where I could do that. And at that same time, I started lifting again. I was eating even better, sleeping even better, dropped more weight.
Maybe looking in the mirror became better.
Yeah. Dude, to where I am now. Yeah. When I came back down to San Diego and saw you in November, you're like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
You on a whole nother level here.
Yeah, I think I was like, you're back at fighting weight.
Yeah,
huh?
like we go out and get in a bar fight.
I did say that. I was like, shit, dude, let's go get in a bar fight. Let's go see if we still got it.
And here I am. I'm feeling good, and I'm going to continue on with that dream of carpentry and whatnot, and see if that's the future. But I can do it.
Yeah,
and I can do it safely.
Yeah,
and I can do it in a healthy manner.
You can bend down. You can bend down and pick stuff up.
Yes,
you can carry things up the stairs.
And when I saw him for my first appointment, I could not do that.
Right. Right. Yeah. I hobbled in to my first appointment.
Yeah.
And then walked out and then re-injured myself because I mean, straight up, I was full of joy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have like this pain, this crushing pain right now. I'm going to go do something. And my chubby ass is just running around the beach and everything. And then I jack something else up and he's like, get back in here.
Yeah.
But again, just to reiterate, heal the body. Mind and spirit can follow, but that's a choice. You know, work on that mind and spirit. Body will follow.
When we talk about Brandon working on you, I just have to reiterate that the man cares, and the whole
that's a
hour
big
and
thing.
a half session. Yeah, he's conversing with you, keeping you involved. Yeah, and telling you what he's doing, but also he's helping you with things that you don't address with people.
He's tapping into things that you're like,
and he feels, it makes you feel like you've known the dude your whole life.
Yeah,
or
really
like he's
does.
a team guy, quite frankly.
He is a team guy.
Yeah.
That is a very, that's a huge compliment that I would say, like, you know, it's there are US Navy SEALs and then there's team guys.
Yes.
And like one's on paper and one is like an essence of someone, like their spirit.
I love that.
They're, you know, whatever. And like when you're like, you know, it's something is like being called a good dude. Like, anyone know Rob? I was like, yeah, he's a good dude.
Good dude.
Just those two words, good dude.
You were locked in.
The antithesis of that is shit bag.
Yes. Yeah.
And
if you're a good neighbor.
Yeah. He's a shit bag. Those two words are like, you're the worst of the worst. He's a good dude that says everything I need to do. He's a Navy SEAL and he's also a team guy.
That's right.
And you know, the people that understand. The people that don't, well.
Yep. And this opportunity to build a relationship with Brandon has really brought me to the point where, on top of what I got from wonderful programs and people like NICO 11 years ago, VHP 4 years ago, 2 sessions at home base 2 years ago, and then, you know, just a couple of months ago, they made me realize what we're talking about. If we can put all of this together, it's really Brandon and what he brings to the table that keeps you in the fight.
It really is. I mean, if that
makes sense.
If he were, it's just like, hey, I now serve the active duty community and only, I mean, I don't want him to, I want him to serve the veteran community, but like, you would have a increase, I mean, a 10-fold increase in people's operations and in their operational ability, but even the not actively injured dudes, their performance would rise up. I mean, it truly would.
Well, that's a great point.
Yeah. It's not just for, you don't go see Brandon if you're injured.
Yes.
You go to see him to optimize what you got. He's going to take where you're at. If you're a fit young dude, you're going to get more.
Yes.
If you're an older broken dude, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
It's never like, he's always going to move you forward and make you the best version of you with where you're at now. It's like, dude, I got metal in my neck. I got no discs in my L4, L5, S1. I got no cartilage in my knees. I got a double Achilles tore. Got a torn labrum on this side. I got a surgically repaired shoulder on this side, you know, and he's going to go, okay, oh, well, let's just optimize what you got. And I've gone so far beyond my expectations of what I can be through understanding holistic healing, energetically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and just allowing it to flow. Allowing it to flow, allowing that limp to flow right out of my body, and allowing whatever it is he's doing.
I equate it to like making it through a long, difficult, arduous workup prior to deployment, a combat deployment, or making it through S&T or some sort of selection program, right? Where now your confidence just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I equate it to something like that, because in 2 or 3 sessions with him, my confidence in my life being long and prosperous and happy shot through the roof, my man.
You look like you have less gray hair.
That's funny.
I'm being serious. Like when you were active duty, dude, you were graying. Yeah. And I was like, we're all aging, no big deal. Down, man. But it's literally like you look younger.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You look younger, you look healthier. And I mean, meanwhile, we were in an elite unit. What I would say is like top units in the world as far as our capabilities can go. Yeah. And there's a lot of individuals in our units and the ones, our counterparts, that are hurting. Yeah. They're hurting. And Brandon, for me, he's like a beacon of hope. Like he is truly like if you've exhausted modalities to this certain point, go see this, go see him regardless. But he honestly, like, if there was one thing he gave me that I had to go highlight, if they're like, hey, explain one thing that he gave you, I'm going to say it. He gave me hope. I love that. I could actually do this. Yes. And that, like, again, he's the conduit, but we are healing ourselves. Yes. Like, he's popping the things loose and moving them to where they could be. But like the micro, microcosm that is you is now free to heal because of the stress is being removed. Physical stuff is being moved. And then he's talking you the whole time of like, hey, now it's time to really rise. It got
so good for me because I was able to build this relationship with Brandon, do my sessions. He and I would talk, and then he would say, when you go back to work, because I was still active duty at the time, talk to Vinny about this. Yeah, yeah. And I would tell Vinny, who knew that I was doing these sessions with Brandon, and they were working in conjunction with one another.
As they, like, you're doubling down. That's the way to go.
Absolutely. I love that you brought up, he brought hope to you because, now we're starting to have conversations, my wife and I, who is an RN, some of the other programs I've been to, like Home Base, and Brandon and I are having conversations like there might be an opportunity where I am on no medications at all. Yeah. And I've already dropped some.
I'm there.
I'm like a month away from that. Yeah. I've always wanted that
freedom in a way that's difficult to explain. Yeah. We've talked a lot about the orthopedic kind of fix, the ortho style fixes. Like it's not just that. Like, we have a nervous system, nerve bundles, lymphatic system, circulatory system. Dude, he turned things on within my circulatory system that were what felt like a kinked hose. Yeah. And now blood is actively flowing there. Lymph is flowing in and out of there.
It's insane.
And so it's not just that. And then, we talked earlier about the microplastics, about the burn pits, about all the nasty stuff we're exposed to out there. I don't know what kind of disease I picked up, but there's this one, I mean, like one of my you look at my VA record, my retirement record, like you can see consistently IBS.
Yes.
IBS, diarrhea. And again, like I was just like, oh, that's just how my system is.
Yep. That's just me.
And one day it's like, all right, lay on your back. And, you know, I will say it's pretty uncomfortable, but getting like some cups and the things done to your stomach, and just, he starts moving things around in the gut, and he's just like, yeah, it's kind of like a parasite cleanse slash, you know, junk removal of everything that was stored up in your intestines.
We go to that.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the toxins, opening up the blood flow, the electricity through the nervous system. Like that is all what our body needs and what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And I was scheduled for major surgery October of 2024. And I mean, it was like, you know, like from here to, you know, bladder area, slice open, out, organs out, piping into my lumbar to replace L4, L5, S1. And I mean, like these big plastic discs were massive. And I mean, like, you know, I'm going over the complications with the neurosurgeon, is the same guy that did both my surgeries on my neck. Great neurosurgeon over at Balboa. And we're talking about like, hey, like, this might not even work.
Right.
And you might get some relief, or you could be worse.
And there's a level of risk.
And now there's a massive scar.
Yes. We
have to move I'm going to mess this up, but my major artery and vein that goes directly, they're going to move it.
Yes.
And with that comes more complications. I'm just hearing this going, let's go.
Not risky at all, right?
You know, it's massively risky, but I was ready to pull the trigger, because it's like, well, it's either I roll the dice with this, or I go up the stairs 1 foot at a time like a toddler.
Yes.
Like I was walking upstairs like a toddler, holding both rails, trying to do that stuff just to get up my stairs at my home. I lived on the second floor. And, you know, I'm doing all this, you know, Brandon, you know, talked with the neuro guy, and then he talked to the Cosmos a little bit, and then was like, Pete, before we get the surgery, come in here.
Yes.
I want to try a different release on you.
That's right.
And it was like, bing, bang, boom, hop off the table, try it. And I was like, you know, a week later, I scheduled an appointment with the neurosurgeon. It was like, hey, cancel the lumbar surgery. I mean, this is a you know, this is the chief neurosurgeon at Balboa going, wait a second.
Happened?
We were, and I mean, like super stoked. And was just like, you know, he didn't want to do the surgery. He's like, Pete, this is a big one. This is major. We're piping through the front. We're opening you up, moving your organs away to get to it. And I avoided that because of Brandon. That to me is, I mean, that's beyond hope now. We're starting to kind of dabble in miracle realm, in my opinion, because again, no one knows your pain and suffering. No one knows mine, but like to go from what I was, you know, crutching or caning my way into Social Security offices going, there's no way I can work, dude. You have what do you want me to do? And then all of a sudden, you know, now I'm this and nothing, not a single needle, scalpel or pill went in me, just hands and that modality.
What an unbelievable testimonial. That is different level right there.
Yeah, it's weird. There's no other word to. It's weird.
And kind of a similar story with me, but on a lesser scale is the nerve damage we were describing earlier. Is some of the things that he just kind of discussed with me and talked me through, and that has improved greatly. Yeah, because he's getting those things firing again that other professionals might not have thought there was even that ability to do.
Yeah. And I'm even going to say this, with the removal of the pain, with the balancing of you know, brain activity, hormonal, nervous system, stuff like that, things like love has completely increased. I love my kids even more. I love people even more. I am patient. I don't want to road rage. There is like so many things were tied to the factor, because you is pain in the body or is pain in the brain? Right. Well, the injuries in the body, but the pain's being felt in the brain. Yes. And that RAM, I mean, you're burning so much RAM to block pain, and we special ops people, we are master ninjas at pain blocking.
Yes.
We can block the pain. We can block the emotional pain. I can tell you how many funerals I've been to where I could feel the pain here, but I refuse to release
show it or release
no
it.
one's going to know that I'm weak. No one's going to see me cry. I'm going to hold it there, and then we're going to go to the reception. And we're going to get disgustingly drunk. And then maybe you'll see some tears, but it'll be like as you're throwing punches.
Sure.
It's just such a ridiculous thing. But now it's like, my ability to emote emotion, no problem. And again, which increases your love within your family dynamic, within your friendships, within your, former teammates. And I mean, like, the one thing is, that's what they see.
Yes.
And a lot of times when they see that, they can look at you and go, I want what you have. And that's where the journey begins. And that's what you and I think we are, is we're beacons of what can be after a wild career.
I think that's what's important
deployments.
for two guys like you and I that did teach those disciplines that we did. And we, again, I don't want to sound like I'm boasting, but we were in positions and we were trusted with positions where we led, we instructed, we taught, we mentored, we coached, and we had impact on many young men's lives, right?
Over the years, hundreds, maybe even thousands.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we take what we've learned here that we're discussing today and do the same thing with the younger generations or our peers?
Yeah. Why wouldn't we? We're doing
Absolutely.
it right. That's what we're doing. We're talking to these guys right here, all of them.
It's very important.
Like, there is a path out of this ruminating thing within you that says, like, I can no longer do this. I can no longer make this happen or anything like that.
That's right. That's
right. The dude that we spoke of.
Yeah.
That's what we're here talking about.
Absolutely.
So in closing, what do you got for us? I mean, we just talked for a few hours now, but, I just want to.
So, you and I were brought up in the NSW generations where you said it right at the beginning, brought up by the Vietnam generation. And that generation looked at life much differently. They were very hard human beings, as they needed to be.
Yeah.
They were the ones that brought us up. But we have learned over the years of 25 years of warfare and the experiences that we've had that you can heal.
Yeah.
You can love. You can care. You can make it through this career in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
And you can stay not only active, but operational for a long time if you just focus your energy properly. I'm going to share that with the younger generations as much as I can. I'm going to continue to have these conversations with you because this stuff is therapeutic for both of us, man. I don't mean to sound like I'm some sort of shaman or something, but this is what we need at this stages in our life, and continue. Remember, our children, our families are the only thing that's left after NSW.
Yeah.
We have to make something of life. How do we keep our minds and our hands productive? And what we're discussing today is a catalyst to that. So thank you for your time today, Pete, and talking and walking this stuff through with me. It's great to catch up. It was
great. And again, for the people out there, the world is brewing. I remember what it looked like when I was a young guy. So for those active duty guys out there that might be facing some hard times and sometimes, war is always around the corner, be ready, but just know that it's not, all of that is not going to define you as a person.
That's correct.
And if you sustain injuries throughout the training, throughout combat, there is a way out, and it starts, in the mind and the spirit. The body will follow. If you can't get that right, get that body feeling good, and the mind and spirit will follow and stuff like that. So,
absolutely.
So thank you, Rob.
Yeah, brother.
Love you, brother.
Love you, bro. Yeah.
And that's a wrap.
Awesome.
All right.